Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom. But before I begin, please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share, leave your comments, and if you're interested, we have a membership that's available in the description box below. Tonight we're talking about Love Without Borders, Season 1, Episode 3. We're looking at rings. So let's just jump into the video. First up, we have Dana and Brian. Dana and Brian are out on the town. They're Christmas shopping, looking around the sights. She's in Ireland. She's amazed at all the little shops that they have there and just the lights from Christmas. But you know, probably when you go to another city or country, you know, they do different things with different traditions. So she's looking around and Brian's talking about the different shops that they had there, you know, different little things that they sell in Ireland. And so Dana says, oh, do they sell rings? And Brian is explaining rings of a claddagh. And claddagh is a ring that's there in Ireland. It's traditional that it has like maybe a heart or a cross or something on it that you get, of course, to someone you love or someone you care about. Then Dana says, well, maybe I'll get one of those. So as they're window shopping, they actually see a store that sells those claddagh rings. And so, you know, Dana is very excited. And in confessional, Brian's like, you know, I like her, but, you know, not right now. I think she's moving kind of fast. So the next day we see Brian take Dana out to the country, you know, just to relax and just talk and just to see the sights and things like that. And then when they get there, I mean, it's a gorgeous place sitting on like a cliff, naturally green. You know, there's a lighthouse, there's a trail because other people walking by, and there's nice open water. I was like, wow, that is a gorgeous sight. So as they're talking, Brian asks Dana, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? And Dana says, I can see myself married, living on a farm with children. And Brian's like, oh, okay, so you get to the point. But one thing I noticed about Brian is that he's asking the questions to get the answers, but he's not necessarily giving the same answers to the questions he's asking Dana. I don't know if Dana's noticing that, but I definitely am. Next up, we have Gurleen and Sharaf. I don't know how to pronounce his name, I apologize. So when we see them again, they're back at Sharaf's family's house from the night before. Now remember last week, he took Gurleen to his cousin's house to meet some of his friends. They were having a good time. It was a regular party, but the friends and the cousin, everybody got upset because Gurleen decided to take in the house her own dishes and her own plates. And they were saying like, you know, that's why we have help, you know, to do that. So like, don't touch it. And apparently that left a taste in their mouth because they were telling Sharaf that, you know, doesn't she know this is what we do? So when we see Gurleen, Sharaf, and his family, they're asking, oh, did you have a good time last night? She said that she did. But when we see Sharaf and Gurleen in confessionals, the producers are asking her, so, you know, what'd you think about the party and everything? She said it was fine, but she didn't necessarily remember what happened. But then when we see Sharaf in confessional, he just gave us the details about what happened. She needs to know this is how they do things in Dubai. So now Gurleen and Sharaf are telling the family that they're gonna go look at houses today to see what they can find. And so they go out to look at houses. Gurleen said that she's trying to find a 2-bedroom or something, you know, so they could get their privacy. Sharaf is going along with the plan. I really don't think that he wants to leave the family house, but just for the sake of relationship and try to get things on the same page, he's going to do that. So when we see them again, they come back, they found something, and they're packing up and everything. And so as they're getting ready to go, Sharaf's mom's like, oh, so can I make you something? And one thing I don't like about Gurleen is that the fact that she's just like brushing them off. Now, I know that she said she's used to being independent, and when she reached a certain age, she left her family and she didn't, you know, her family dynamic was such where maybe she didn't feel like she was appreciated or loved or whatever the fact is. I don't think that's a good look. I also think that Sharaf is noticing these little things because he's really close to his family and she don't have that. So I think maybe it may cause an issue down the line. So anyways, once they get settled in, they come to the table, they talk about just in general, like what they want to do for the day. And the idea comes up from Sharaf, or maybe from Gurleen, that they're gonna go out and ride camels. And Gurleen says she's never done this before, so she's excited to get out there. So once they make it to their destination, they get to the tour guide and they suggest scarves to wrap around your head because they're gonna be taking these camel rides in the middle of the desert. So she's like, oh, I wanna wear this one. And the guide says, no, you can't wear that. That's designated for a man. She's like, oh, okay. He goes, well, you can wear this. So then she asked him, well, why can't I wear it? So the tour guide goes on to explain that the history of in Dubai, why the men wore certain things and the women wore certain things. So it's a tradition. So after that, they get their scarves on, they go to the camels, and when she gets on the camel, she accidentally hits the camel behind her in the face. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's not a way to start. Because if you ever seen camels on like the National Geographic, things like that, camels could be unpredictable. Anyways, they enjoy their time on the camels, and when they're done, it's sunset. So they go and they sit down, and she wants to watch the sunset. And she's saying like, have you ever reflected on life and where you'd be next year? And Sharaf said he never thought about that, at least not during the time when the sun was setting. So then Gurleen says she wants to live her life with more intention for herself and stop saying yes to people all the time. And I'm thinking, really? She does not come across with someone who says yes all the time. Gurleen actually seemed like a little bit likable in that moment while she watches sunset and reflecting and all. So moving to Naeem. Naeem is finally made to Panama. He's excited for the next step. But you know what? I just get that from him. His personality just comes across like, oh, I'm excited for his adventures that he seems like he likes to do. So anyways, he's in the airport. He's grabbing flowers. He's talking about, oh, I was brought up like you never go to someone's house empty-handed. And I'm part of that tradition too. Like you never go to someone's house empty-handed for any reason, at least if it's the first time you go or invited to an event or something like that. So I understand where he's coming from. So he finally makes it to the address, and who opens the door? Chandra. So the match is Naeem and Chandra. Chandra says she's a customer service representative for a major company. So that's what she does for a living. But anyways, Naeem is saying to her like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. But you know what? Before she answered the door though, I forgot to mention, he was saying, well, I hope she's cute. And I'm thinking, well, if she's not, you weren't matched on her looks, right? You were matched on your personality, your traits, your interests on paper. I don't get that with people talk about, oh, I hope they're cute. Yeah, in general, you hope you are attracted to them, but that's not what attracted you to them since you went to a matchmaker. Chandra seems happy to see him too, and he comes in, she shows him around the house and looking at different little things. And when they get to the room that he's going to be sleeping in, the guest room, he's like, oh wow, looks tiny. And you know what? It was small, and it looks like it was for like, I know it was in pink, right? I thought it was like a young lady's room. So I think Naeem thought he wasn't going to be staying in the guest room because he was like, is there another room? Now later on, we see Chandria cooking dinner for Naeem, and she made spaghetti. Now there's been things said about a lady cooking spaghetti for the first date. I don't necessarily feed into those certain things. Have you ever heard about that, cooking spaghetti for the first time? Maybe something like in a certain part of the world or the States or whatever. But yes, for some people, that's a no-no. But they get their food, they go up to the patio. She's trying to set the mood or whatever, right? But when they get up there, the patio balcony, or really the balcony, is too small really for both of them, the way they're sitting, because they have to sit on the ground. But he's a good sport about it. He sits out there anyways, even though he's cramped. And so before they eat, Chandria says, well, I hope my food doesn't give you diarrhea. And Naeem's like, why would you say that to me before I eat? And I was thinking the same thing, like, why would you say that before I eat? Because if it was me, if the shoe was on the other foot, I wouldn't even want it. Because I would think like, did you sabotage this? Or like, did you put something there that maybe, I don't know. But again, he ate it, so he's all right. So maybe it wasn't nothing. Maybe she just trying to be funny, break the ice kind of thing. But it didn't come across that way. So while they're eating, they get to talking about how they grew up. And Chandria said that she grew up in the hood. She saw lots of crime and lots of violence. And, you know, she's happy to where she is now, that she's left that life behind. And then Naeem said that he showed her the scar on his forehead, that when he was younger, he was jumped. And, you know, I think they had some bonding over the traumas that they had in childhood. So hopefully they have more interest than that and not just that trauma bonding. So, but overall, they seem to be enjoying each other's company for the meantime. Next up, we have Aaron and Mael. Now, when we see Aaron is making a video diary, and he's just sitting there like, well, Mael's not here. He went swimming. And I'm thinking, Mael invite you to go swimming, or you chose not to go swimming? Because, I mean, that just seemed awkward or different that you didn't choose to go with Mael, even if you didn't swim, just to, you know, get out the house and see different things. But Aaron says that he's getting anxious about being in a new environment, being in a new neighborhood, new city, not knowing the language, the food, things like that. So he's been in his head a little bit. And I noticed that when Aaron first got to France, when he first landed in their first interactions, that he didn't seem like he was comfortable. Well, yes, he's out of his comfort zone, but he just really seemed like he was, I don't know, maybe his standards weren't being met, kind of. That's the vibe I got from Aaron. Hopefully he'll get out of his head and get past that. So when we do see Aaron and Mael, they're walking around the neighborhood, they're eating a pastry, and Aaron says to Mael, so did you notice yesterday I was being very quiet? And then you saw production showing the scene from the day before where Aaron was just looking on his phone and Mael was standing in the kitchen just kind of like looking at him. And so Mael said, yes, I noticed that, but, you know, I was trying to give you your space because, you know, you didn't seem like you wanted to talk. And then Aaron said what he told us in the video diary, that, you know, he was in his head, he was anxious, and, you know, he just, when he gets that way, he doesn't open up, you know, he shuts down. And Mael was like, you know what? When you first came, you know, I felt pressure to be like, oh, does he like me? We should do this, we should do that. But he learned that, you know what, I'm not going to put that pressure on me anymore. I'm just going to relax and be me and, you know, let things go naturally. And Aaron said that he appreciated Mael saying that. And so now he could maybe open up more himself. And Mael encouraged him to do so. So then later on, when we see Aaron and Mael again, they're dressing up and they go out to a nice meal. And they seem like they're coming back around. Well, at least Aaron, you know, opening up and trying to get to know Mael better and just feel like he's more comfortable. So Mael suggests that on the menu, because Aaron's having a hard time like picking something to eat. I think he said something like, do they have fried chicken or something like that? And I mean, they're in a French restaurant. Matter of fact, not just a French restaurant, they're in France. So it's all French restaurants pretty much, right? And so Mael's like, no, why don't you just try like some French food, like escargot and foie gras, which is duck liver. So Aaron's like, okay, I'll try. So when the food comes, Aaron was a sport. He did actually try the food. He seemed to enjoy the escargot, but then when they got to the foie gras, which is a delicacy to some countries and some people, he was like, kind of tastes like cream cheese. And Maya was like, I feel offended. And he thought it was cream cheese in confessional. But if it tastes like cream cheese to him, if that's what he said, I mean, you really can't be mad at that. At least he tried it. Aaron said specifically, he only ate fast food. So him eating escargot and foie gras is truly 20 steps up. So then we see a guy selling roses at the restaurant, and Aaron buys 2 roses and hands them to Mael, and he was like, oh, so this is like for our first date. And Mael felt special, and I was really glad that Aaron not just tried the food, but just again stepped out of his comfort zone by buying roses and having open conversations. In confessionals, Aaron said that he's open to romance, so there you go. Then we have Phil and Carmen. Now, when we see them, they are hanging out roller skating. So far, the day seems like it's going well. Carmen says that feels like they're getting closer. She could feel the chemistry. She says she doesn't know why Phil hasn't opened up yet, but then she mentions, oh, but maybe the celibacy is holding him back. And I'm thinking, yeah, it probably is the celibacy holding him back, and it's still new. So I give Phil credit for not trying to be more intimate than what he's ready to be for right now. So when they're done roller skating, they just talk and have regular conversation. Phil brings her up to say that, his mom used to come to Ghana to help with the festivals and work in different villages, and even one of Bob Marley's ex-wives is his godmother. And Carmen's like, oh yeah, I remember going to festivals when I was younger. So they had a little connection when it came to that, like, oh, okay, so your mom was here doing that. Now back at the house, they're having a small snack, having conversation again. So Carmen brings up a conversation about social media. And apparently Phil says, yes, he has social media, but he's not ready to give it to Carmen right now. And so Carmen took it upon herself to go snooping a little bit, because she said, well, you did say you didn't want to give me social media, but I found out what it was because I was interested being Bob Marley's ex-wife is your godmother. I just want to know what you had on there. So when she said that to Phil, he was like, what? Like, why would you do that? Like she's overstepping her bounds. And in a way, I do believe she did. Now that started an argument that quickly went left. She says to Phil, she's like, so, I'm looking for, your godmom and some pictures on there, but yet I see you in your underwear, showing with your privates and stuff. And she's like, what's that about? And Phil's like, why do I have to explain that to you? He goes, I don't feel bad about anything I post on social media. Don't you have shots of you in a bikini on IG? Because I've seen you in your IG, and didn't you show it to me? She's like, yeah, I do. So Phil was like, so what's the problem? Like, what's the issue? So Phil is like questioning Carmen, like, why would you do this? Like, how come I can't have privacy? And then when Carmen starts to talk, Phil's like, you keep interrupting me. Every time I talk, you interrupt. Carmen says, you know what? Don't worry about it, because I see you. Phil said, you see me? No, I see you. So that was the end of that conversation, and that was the end of the episode. I mean, I think Phil and Carmen need to come back on the same page. And yeah, she did snoop to the Instagram, and I don't understand why Phil didn't make it private. So maybe she couldn't snoop on it unless she saw it actually on his phone. Coming up next week, we see Naeem and Chandra out having dinner, and there's a conversation going on about dancing and on her lap and this and that, and that conversation seemed like it's also going to take a turn. We see Aaron FaceTiming the relationship expert Erica about how his relationship is going, and we also see Gerline getting into it with Sharif's friends from the party. So next week seems like it might be a decent episode as well. But I'll be here for it. So watch out for the review next week as well. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to leave your comments. And until next time, live simply, be grateful.